Let's try to add it to a list. First, let's just worry about building the list item. So instead of console.logging stuff, we're going to build a list item. So how about we add a new method called build list item or render list item or whatever you wanted to call it. We called it render list item before. That's fine. Render list item. And let's make it just take as its argument the flick. Let it sort it out. We're going to create element. So const li or item, whatever you want to call it. Const item equals document not create element li. li.text content equals flick.name. Return li. I'm going to start going kind of fast here. If you can't keep up with the typing, you can always get it off of GitHub later, but you've all done this before too. Yeah, Andrew. Yep, thank you. Called my variable something else. Just to make the point that it doesn't have to be the same as the string here. Okay, so inside add flick, we need to make sure that we call that. Const list item equals this dot render list item passing in the flick, right? This object right here. And let's just console log that list item to see if render list item is working. Never mind adding it to the page yet. Type something. There we go. We got an li. Yeah, I named my variable item, not li. Yeah. Dr. Oppenheimer, I think, noticed that. Okay, so we need to stick that on the list. We're not going to build the list from scratch. We're going to have the list already be on the page, empty. So here's what we're going to do. Back in index.html, underneath this div, which is our row, we're going to make another row. Let's make another div with a class of row. And we'll give it the same dimensions. So once again, it'll be a medium 8 dot medium offset 2 dot column. I didn't put div, but Emmet defaults to div, so I end up with this. Cool. I'm going to put a UL in there with an ID of flick-list. It's going to be empty. ID of flick list. Back in our JavaScript, we're going to need to get that list. Once again, it'd be nice to make it flexible. If we wanted to make it flexible, one way we could do that is when we call init, instead of just passing it one selector, we could like make it take an object instead of just giving it another argument. An object and say form selector, flick form, comma, list selector, ID of flick-list. I'm going to change that to a dash because in our HTML, typically just so that we're consistent, we use dashes to separate multiple words. So I'm going to go back real quick change that ID of the form. But I only have to change it these two places. Okay, and flick list, which I did right the first time, right? Yeah. Okay, so now I'm passing in an object. So in init, I'm going to name my argument selectors. Then I'm going to say document query selector selectors dot form selector to set up the event. And then I want to just store the ID of the form. Just like we did max, I'm just going to make it a property of the object itself. So I'm going to say this dot list equals document dot query selector selectors dot list selector. See what we're doing here? Okay, so now app.list is the unordered list. So what I could do back down and add a flick, I've gotten my list item here. Now instead of console logging, I could say this dot list dot append child list item. Refresh the page. There we go. I didn't clear it out first. Okay, so that much works. Add flicks to an unordered list.